At 4:18 p.m. on October 9, 2024, Marcus Williams stood beside a KMC peanut digger in a field near Albany, Georgia, checking soil moisture on his phone. 24%. The peanut plants he had inverted 4 days earlier were already showing mold on pods that should have been harvested yesterday. Rain was forecast in 6 hours with an 80% probability. His combine operator had texted earlier, "Harvester's down, picker chain broke, parts arrive tomorrow." Williams was 61, a fourth-generation peanut farmer managing 1,800 acres. Standard practice said to leave moldy peanuts in the field and cut losses on 85 acres. But his contract with Golden Peanut Company required delivery of 3.2 million pounds by October 15th, with a maximum of 2.5% damaged kernels. Mold had already pushed that number toward 5%. With 680 acres waiting to be harvested and rain approaching, $127,000 worth of crop lay exposed. He started calling contractors within 50 miles. Someone had to have a working combine. Georgia's peanut belt produces about 2.4 billion pounds annually, roughly half of U.S. consumption. Harvesting relies on a precise two-stage system. First, diggers lift plants from the soil and invert them into windrows. The peanuts dry in the field for 3 to 5 days before combines collect them and deliver them to buying points for grading and storage. The process depends on tight weather windows and strict quality standards. Even 1% mold contamination can trigger price penalties or rejection. Williams had grown up in this system. His grandfather had harvested peanuts by hand in the 1940s. His father mechanized in the 1970s with early diggers and combines. When Williams took over in 1992, he expanded the farm and invested more than $2 million in modern equipment. Today, his diggers could process 12 acres per hour and his combines 8, when everything worked. When equipment failed or weather turned, losses mounted quickly. The economics were already tight. At contract rates of $550 per ton and average yields of 4,200 pounds per acre, revenue reached about $1,155 per acre. Operating costs, including seed, fertilizer, chemicals, harvesting, fuel, and buying point fees, totaled about $620 per acre. That left roughly $535 profit per acre before equipment depreciation and land payments. Across 1,800 acres, Williams generated around $285,000 in actual annual net income managing a $4.6 million operation. When mold pushed prices down to $420 per ton, margins collapsed. At 5:20 p.m., Williams found a contractor 65 miles away willing to harvest overnight for $140 per acre, almost double the normal rate. Williams accepted immediately. Paying $5,950 to save $127,000 in crop value was an easy decision. His son DeAndre arrived at 6:30 p.m. to help. 34 years old, he worked as an agricultural loan officer at a bank, but still returned during emergencies. "Even if we save this crop," DeAndre said, "mold damage will push us into the lower grade. That's $420 per ton instead of $550. "I know," Williams replied, "but $420 is better than zero." The contractor's combine arrived just after 8 p.m. Under LED work lights, they began harvesting the windrows. The peanuts were worse than expected, darkened shells and visible mold. If inspection showed more than 2.5% damage, Golden Peanut could reject the crop entirely. By 11:40 p.m., they had harvested 42 acres. Williams tested moisture, 11.2%, slightly high but acceptable. Mold remained the real problem. He called Golden Peanut's quality coordinator. "Bring them in tomorrow," the coordinator said. "If they're borderline, we'll see what we can do." That likely meant a deeper price cut, maybe $380 per ton. Rain began just before 1 a.m. The combine shut down. They had harvested 64 acres. 21 acres remained in the field, now soaking in the rain. Williams made the call to abandon them. He drove home at 2:15 a.m. His wife Patricia had coffee waiting. They sat quietly. The farm had survived another crisis, but the profit margin was gone. 3 days later, the inspection results arrived. The peanuts graded at 4.2% damaged kernels, above spec, but still accepted at a reduced rate of $390 per ton. The 64 harvested acres generated $50,100 in revenue against $46,030 in operating costs. Net profit, $4,070, about $64 per acre. The abandoned 21 acres produced nothing and absorbed $13,020 in sunk costs. Compared with normal harvest conditions, the equipment failure and rain had erased more than $100,000 in expected profit. Williams continued farming through 2026, but costs kept rising while peanut contract prices remained flat. In 2027, Golden Peanut announced it would close several buy-in points across Georgia. Williams's nearest facility, just 12 miles away, was on the list. The replacement location was 47 miles distant, adding roughly $18 per acre in transportation costs. DeAndre ran the numbers. Even in a perfect year, the farm might generate around $210,000 in net income. Over the previous 5 years, the average had been closer to $182,000. "Dad," he told him, "I love this farm, but I can't take it over at these economics. I'd work 70 hours a week to earn less than I do at the bank." Williams understood. Farming had been his life, but the math was changing. In August 2027, he sold the farm to a regional agricultural corporation managing 24,000 acres. They paid $6,800 per acre for the land and $780,000 for the equipment. After debts were settled, Williams and his wife retired with $8.4 million. Georgia still produces billions of pounds of peanuts each year, supplying half of America's demand. But the industry is changing. Harvests continue each fall with the same two-stage machinery, but across fewer larger farms. Buying points consolidate. Processing facilities centralize. Economies of scale favor corporate operations managing tens of thousands of acres. The peanuts are still harvested the same way. The farmers who once built the industry are gradually disappearing,